Gap Beach has got to be one of my favourite places on the earth. It shows that with a bit of help, nature can restore itself. Well, here is a great example of what happens in the hind dunes. We've got one or two big banks, big Bitou Bush growing over Kangaroo, lily-pilly, banksia back there. So this very quickly would suppress all these young seedlings. You get the second one. We've got some kangaroos in here which will be very happy to leave. Tricky. There are my sunflowers. So we've climbed under, we've cut off the two main stems, we've looked to make sure there are no others, and very quickly these native plants will fill in the hole. Look at this dune and compare it to the dune where all the sand mining had occurred, and it had a lot of Bitou Bush was planted there in the 70s and has grown up. You may remember all the hummocks that were formed by the Bitou Bush and the blowouts of the sand. Here we have an area which the Bitou Bush has been controlled for the last 20 years. Very little, occasional Bitou, but a very little Bitou coming through here. But you can see the difference in the dynamics of this dune and the difference in the shape of this dune, where the contours are not distorted by the Bitou Bush, where you get the big humps and the big blowouts. This area is now being colonised by the primary colonisers, such as the grasses, the pigface, the native goat's foot morning glory, and the snake vine. So all of these provide a habitat and an ideal microclimate for the larger plants to come in, the acacias, the banksias, and eventually the tuckaroos. And what happens is these dunes move backwards and forwards with storm surges, and all this vegetation take out all the energy from these storms and protects the dune, and particularly protects the hind dune here. And behind us we have littoral rainforest up the hills and in the hind dunes. When you've got Bitou Bush in the system, it completely distorts how this process works. So this area is a very special area. There are not many beaches in Australia in such good condition as this one, and we aim to keep it that way. Getting buried and regerminating, yes. Or fruiting there.
As is the benefit.
Yeah. So it'll all gradually build back up over here, and this dune will move out quite a long way up.
But look how small this bit of dune is till you get to the swale too.
I've worked on these dunes for more than 20 years, and the dunes at 2008 were out in line almost where the water leach is now. This is all eroded back. The water has funneled through into the creek line and eroded the base of this dune. And that dune's quite an old dune, as you can see. It's had quite mature trees on it, and they've all crashed down. So now over time this will build back up again. But it's quite good evidence of these surges coming through here. This was May 2009. Gradually starting to recover, but we've had some recent storms that are starting to eat it back again. This dune is all that protects and stands between the ocean and the littoral rainforest behind. Locals call this the magic tree. It's a cabbage tree palm that's been knocked down several times. It forms a spiral that reminds me of the Indian rope trick. In the 1950s, this land was cleared for bananas. It was later burnt and grazed, and then in the 1970s it was incorporated into Hat Head National Park. The weeds behind me are a result of this disturbance. These areas are gradually being restored.